Have you ever thought about this? What if a farm could actually heal the land instead of just taking from it? Well, today we're going to take a journey to a place that does exactly that. We're going to explore a really radical, but also ancient idea, a farm that's designed to work with nature, not against it.
And really, it all boils down to this one simple but super powerful idea: working with nature instead of against it. Now, this is way more than just a nice sounding phrase. It is the guiding principle behind every single choice made here. So the big question is, what does that actually look like on the ground?
Okay, so here's the game plan for our tour. We're going to kick things off with the big idea. Then we'll dive into the foundations, the seeds, and the soil. After that, we'll see how the whole thing works together as a living ecosystem, understand the design that makes it self-reliant, and finally, we'll look at the big picture, what this all means for the future. So, let's get started.
All right, first stop. We're getting right to the heart of it all, the core philosophy. Think of this as the foundation, the bedrock that everything else is built on. It's the belief that a healthy farm isn't some kind of factory, It's a living, breathing ecosystem.
So, what are we even talking about when we say natural farming? Well, it's really a whole philosophy. It's about creating these farming ecosystems that can basically run themselves. So the goal isn't just, how much can we get out of the land? Nope. It's about building a system that's balanced, that's in harmony, and that actually gives back. Okay, so we've got the big idea down. But how do you actually build something like this from scratch? Well, that's our next stop. We're talking about the absolute foundation of life on this farm, the two most crucial ingredients, seeds and soil. It sounds almost too simple, but this is a huge first step. Everything, and I mean everything, starts with the right seed. And we're not just talking about grabbing whatever's convenient or cheap. No, this is a really strategic choice. To use seeds that are already perfectly suited to thrive right here, with zero artificial help. So, what makes a seed the right one for this place? Well, we're talking about heirloom and indigenous types. Seeds that have a story. They're chosen for a brilliant reason. They're already used to the local climate, which makes them super tough and naturally resilient. They're totally chemical-free, and by using them, the farm itself becomes this amazing living library, helping to protect our planet's agricultural biodiversity. All right, so we've got the perfect seeds, but that's only half the battle, right? How in the world do you keep the soil rich and healthy without dumping a bunch of artificial fertilizer on it? That question brings us to a really cool part of our tour, seeing how this farm is a living ecosystem that literally feeds itself. And the way it works is it's beautifully simple. It's what's called a closed-loop system. Step 1, they grab all the organic waste from the farm. I'm talking fallen leaves, plant trimmings, the whole shebang. Then they mix in all that good stuff from the cows and sheep. That whole mix just composts down, and what you get is this incredible, rich, dark fertilizer that goes straight back into the soil. The best part? Nothing, absolutely nothing goes to waste. And this brings up a really, really important point. Here, the animals aren't just seen as, livestock. They are critical, active partners in this whole regeneration process. So how does this partnership actually play out? Well, the sheep and cows, they just roam and graze freely. And as they're moving around, their manure is naturally fertilizing the soil. The key here is that it's not a one-and-done kind of thing. It's this constant process that makes the land healthier every single year. And what you end up with is this perfect positive feedback loop. Healthier land grows stronger, more resilient plants. Now, a system this smart and self-sufficient, it doesn't just happen by magic, right? There is a really intelligent design behind it all, and that's our next stop, digging into the principles of permaculture that make this whole thing tick. When you strip it all down, this is the core goal of permaculture in this context. You're trying to design an agricultural system that can pretty much take care of itself. The whole idea is to get all the pieces of the puzzle, the plants, animals, soil, water, working together to create a stable, productive system that needs very little help from the outside world. So what are the tricks of the trade? How do they pull it off? Well, it comes down to a few really clever techniques. First, there's mulching. That's just covering the soil with organic stuff, and it acts like a blanket, locking in all that valuable moisture. Then you've got companion planting. This is so cool. It's like finding best friends for your plants, where they grow together and help each other out. And of course, every single thing they add to the soil is natural, which protects that incredibly complex web of life underground. And that brings us to our final stop. We've seen the how of it all, the seeds, the soil, the whole ecosystem, and the design.
So now it's time to talk about the why. What's the big picture? What's the ultimate mission behind all this effort?
And you know what? When it comes right down to it, the answer is both incredibly simple and incredibly profound. The goal, the whole point, is to grow food the way nature actually intended. It's about stepping away from that industrial factory model and getting back in sync with the Earth's natural rhythms.
So what do you get at the end of the day? What's the payoff? Well, you get food that's completely 100% chemical-free. You get food that's grown in a way that doesn't just sustain the land, it actually makes it better. And you get food that is just teeming with life, because it comes from a system that's alive itself.
So that's the end of our tour, but it's really just the beginning of the conversation, isn't it? Seeing all this in action, it really leaves you with a big question. How can all of us, whether we've got a massive farm or just a little plant on a windowsill, how can we all play a part in growing a future that gives back more than it takes? That's definitely some food for thought. Thanks so much for coming on this journey with me.